This is Nightline and I am Natasha Busst. The top stories. Lima 25 kicks off with cutting-edge innovations. And government urged to consider raising civil service retirement age to 65. The government will continue to prioritize efforts to increase youth participation in the aerospace and maritime sectors. The Prime Minister said it is part of a long-term strategy to create high-income job opportunities for locals. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said this at the 2025 Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition, Lima 25, which opened with a grand display. The roar of the Royal Malaysian Air Force's Sukhoi fighter jets shook the skies above the Masuri International Exhibition Centre in Langkawi on Tuesday. The electrifying opening gambit featured 25 aircraft performing spectacular aerial displays, including complex formations, aerobatics, and high-speed maneuvers. Among them were 6 trainer aircraft, 2 transport planes, and 8 helicopters of various models. The 10-minute thrilling performance captivated thousands of spectators, including both local and international delegates, as well as members of the public around the exhibition centre. Also in attendance were Deputy Prime Ministers Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi and Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof, Communications Minister Datuk Fahmi Fazil, and Chief of Defence Forces General Datuk Muhammad Nizam Jaafar. Later in the afternoon, Anwar launched the maritime segment of Lima 25 at a high-octane ceremony at Resorts World Langkawi. The event was packed with dramatic gimmicks and tactical demonstrations involving various maritime and aerial assets, including boats and jet skis, showcased by national maritime agencies. And at the event, the Prime Minister launched Rebat, a high-mobility light tactical vehicle. It is the first such vehicle to be fully designed and manufactured domestically. Rebat, developed by Malaysian engineers, is not only suited for domestic use, but also meets the operational requirements of overseas missions. Anwar also witnessed the signing of a Memorandum of Agreement, or MOA, between MILDEF International Technologies and the Defence Ministry's main research agency, the Defence Science and Technology Research Institute, as well as another MOA with an Indonesian defence company. The focus of the MOA is the development of 2 tactical vehicle platforms that will be fully designed in the country. In another development, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has called for a new learning ecosystem, especially in the technical and vocational education and training, or TVET sector, to produce 60,000 skilled engineers. Ahmad Zahid said this effort also aims to make engineering programs a preferred choice among school leavers.
Kita tumpukan juga kepada lepasan pelajar-pelajar di sekolah-sekolah berasrama penuh selain daripada MRSM dan juga tahfiz swasta dan juga berdaftar untuk kita gamit mereka bagi menyertai bidang kejuruteraan, khususnya dalam kejuruteraan pembuatan dan juga aeroangkasa serta kelautan.
He said this after witnessing the signing of 5 memoranda of agreement between University Kuala Lumpur Malaysia's Institute of Aviation Technology and 5 industry players in conjunction with Lima 25. He added that more Mahat Tafiz graduates will be recruited into the aerospace field at UniKL and University Polytech Malaysia. The government should consider raising the retirement age for civil servants to 65. The minister in the Prime Minister's department, Datuk Seri Azalina Othman Said, says her suggestion comes from the concept of active aging, adding that many older Malaysians are capable of remaining active and energetic. Speaking to the media after a function in Putrajaya on Tuesday, the minister said several countries, including some of Malaysia's ASEAN neighbours, had already implemented higher retirement age thresholds.
I think the percentage of above 60 dah makin banyak. I don't know. It's just that I was wondering because some of the officers when we met still very young, still very active. It's just they're 60 years old because some countries are moving to 65 but not 70 lah.
The retirement age for Malaysian civil servants has been revised 3 times in the past 2 decades through amendments to the Pensions Act 1980. It was raised from 55 to 56 in 2001, increased to 58 in 2008, and extended to 60 in 2012. For the private sector, the Minimum Retirement Age Act 2012 sets 60 as the minimum retirement age. In November 2024, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Federal Territories, Datuk Sri Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, said the government had no current plans to raise the retirement age for civil servants. However, she said the government remains open to conducting a detailed study should the need arise. The Selangor government has directed local councils to seize all vape-related advertisements across the state with immediate effect. State Executive Councillor for Public Health, Jamalia Jamaluddin, said the directive was made following a recent coordination meeting she chaired. The move comes as part of early efforts to curb the rising use of electronic cigarettes, particularly among teenagers. Authorities discussed various enforcement challenges, including licensing issues and the legal framework surrounding vape products. They also raised concerns over online sales, which remain difficult to regulate and are a popular route for youth access. She said all councils have been told to enforce provisions under the Control of Smoking Products for Public Health Act. A staggering 78% increase in ransomware cases in Malaysia in the fourth quarter of 2024 has sounded the alarm on the growing complexity and scale of cyber threats, prompting urgent calls for stronger global cooperation and readiness. According to National Cybersecurity Agency Chief Executive Officer Dr. Megat Zuhairi, the surge highlights a critical need for a united international front in combating cybercrime.
Dalam kita menangani ransomware tersebut, kita tidak boleh secara bersendirian. Perlu kolaborasi antara ASEAN dan juga secara global. So hence salah satu inisiatif kita laksanakan bersama dengan Council of Europe, Cyber Games 2025, di mana temanya adalah ke arah bagaimana kita untuk menangani isu-isu berkaitan dengan ransomware.
He was speaking to the media in Kuala Lumpur after the launch of the Cyber Games 2025 on Tuesday. The program is seen as a strategic platform to boost the nation's readiness to deal with cybercrime issues. It involves the participation of more than 120 cybercrime investigators and digital forensics experts from 40 countries in ASEAN, Europe, as well as the United States. In Sabah, an elderly woman and her granddaughter were killed after they were trapped in a fire in Mengatal earlier Tuesday. After the 5 a.m. blaze at their house in Kampung Pulau Penampang, the charred remains of 80-year-old Ruslia, alias Gisis Buntamas, were found near the body of her 14-year-old granddaughter, Joey Nita Abdul Alip. The house is believed to be occupied by a family of 6, but 4 of them managed to escape. Sabah Fire and Rescue Assistant Director of Operations Muhammad Taqiyuddin Victor Dun said firemen from Kota Kinabalu, Lintas and Penampang responded to an emergency call at 5:22 a.m. The fire destroyed the concrete house while a car was slightly damaged. The victims' remains have been handed to the police for further action. Various international efforts and dialogues aimed at changing perceptions of Malaysia's palm oil industry are beginning to yield results. Plantation and Commodities Minister Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said this was proven by the renewed high demand for local palm oil products in the European market. According to Johari, the confidence of European industry players has been further strengthened through various targeted engagements aimed at countering misinformation about Malaysian palm oil.
Saya pergi di Brussels baru ni, saya jumpa EUDR punya minister yang in charge on EUDR. I explain, they're quite impressed and they're coming on September. Last month, UK punya Minister of Environment. So they come here under dialogue session. Saya pun jadi dengan dia chairman dialogue, fact dialogue. Kemudian saya beritahu take them how we process on it. They're quite impressed.
Johari said this to reporters after launching the centralized biomethane injection station in Kluang. Global acceptance of Malaysian palm oil is also demonstrated by more open policies on the country's commodity imports, such as the exemption of tariffs on Malaysian palm oil exported to the United Kingdom. He also emphasized that action is needed to ensure the government's efforts to boost the industry's value-added segment without expanding palm oil plantation areas are successfully realized.
Kita kena tunjuk action kita. Contoh pertama, kita cakap no more deforestation because kita dah ada lebih kurang 5.7 juta hektar dan kita punya forest cover sekarang ni 54%. Kita punya komitmen kepada dunia 50%, cannot be less than that. So kita ada lebih kurang 4% lagi. Jadi saya beritahu kepada pemain industri kelapa sawit, no more deforestation.
The facility in Kluang enables the conversion of palm oil waste into biomethane gas, supporting Malaysia's goal to reduce methane emissions by 30% by 2030. Malaysia's trade performance in April rose by 18.2% to 261.9 billion ringgit. The figure is the highest monthly trade value recorded since August 2022. According to the Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry, both exports and imports recorded double-digit growth last month. Exports climbed 16.4%, while imports grew 20%, resulting in a trade surplus of 5.19 billion ringgit. This marks the country's 60th straight month of surplus since May 2020. The solid export performance was driven largely by higher global demand for manufactured goods, particularly electrical and electronic products. Agricultural goods, namely palm oil and palm oil-based agricultural products, also played a significant role in supporting the overall expansion in exports. In terms of markets, strong export growth was posted to major trading partners, namely ASEAN, China, the United States, the European Union and Taiwan, where it reached a new record high. China and Australia on Tuesday reduced interest rates in an effort to ease growing economic pressure and support growth. China's central bank cut two key interest rates to historic lows, with the People's Bank of China announcing a 10 basis point reduction in both the one-year loan prime rate, now at 3%, and the five-year rate, now at 3.5%. Both rates were last cut in October to what were then record lows. Australia's central bank, meanwhile, reduced its benchmark interest rate by a quarter percentage for a second time this year to 3.85% after inflation fell within a target range. RM10 million worth of drugs seized. This and more from the local front after this breather.
Satria, bangki. Intel untuk misi khas diterima. Saya, Ejen Ali dan Ejen Alisha akan menjalankan misi di Karnival Jom Heboh Kuala Lumpur bermula pada 30 Mei hingga 1 Jun di KL Base Kuala Lumpur. Pelbagai aktiviti menarik menanti anda. Temui kami bersama selebriti studio tonton drama sangat, pesta makanan, aktiviti sukan, belon udara panas, Jom Esports Championship, konsert Jom Heboh dan banyak lagi. Misi Karnival Jom Heboh bermula sekarang. Jom, jom, jom!
Dia terus masuk ke rumah untuk pukul adik dia yang terbaring di atas katil.
Bergamak memukul adiknya yang lumpuh dan ibu saudaranya sehingga maut.
Dia kata ada dengar suara-suara kata buat sesuatu, bunuh, pukul ke itulah. Duk dengar bisikan lah. Tu hang nak balik apa? Hang odok lah kat hospital tu. Balik-balik tu dia tak makan ubat tak apa. Dia teruk lah.
A woman's spirit is boundless. So grab your coffee cups and wear your sassiest smile. Because this season, we're louder than ever. We talk career, health, finance, relationships, and everything in between. Women's Talk is here to empower and inspire you. Join us on Women's Talk every Saturday, 5 p.m. only on TV3 and stream now on Thursday.
Daripada 1,000 rakyat Malaysia, lebih daripada 500 individu ada kenderaan. Patutlah jalan raya sesak.
Penyakit HFMD semakin meningkat, jadi awasi keluarga anda.
Kalau anak kita tantrum dan buat bising di tempat awam, nak salahkan ibu apa ke?
Banyak filem tempatan tak berjaya pecah panggung. Ketahui bagaimana skim wajib tayang membantu industri perfilman.
Soal Wang bercakap tentang persediaan kewangan untuk ibadah korban.
Semuanya dalam MHI minggu ini, Isnin hingga Jumaat.
Jam 10 pagi ditonton juga eksklusif di TV3.
Welcome back. In Johor, the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency, MMEA, thwarted an attempt to smuggle drugs believed to be methamphetamine valued at 10 million ringgit in the waters of Sungai Ayam in Batu Pahat on May 16th. State MMEA Deputy Director of Operations, Kamal Azri Kamil, said the seizure, the largest in the past 5 years, was made possible through intelligence on the suspicious movements of a fiberglass boat in the area. Upon inspecting the boat, 12 sacks weighing 300 kilograms, believed to contain methamphetamine, were found. The seized items, including the fiberglass vessel, were taken to the Batu Pahat Maritime Zone, with the case being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. Police are conducting investigations into a news portal suspected of publishing a report on the discovery of Datin Sri Pamela Ling Yue's body in a house in Petaling Jaya, Selangor, which went viral on social media on Monday. Selangor Police Chief Datuk Hussein Omar Khan said his team had opened an investigation paper under the Penal Code and the Telecommunications and Multimedia Act. Police will call the parties involved to record their statements. On Monday, Police confirmed that a report by a news website titled Police Interview Pamela Ling's Children and Family Friend in Death Investigation, and which later went viral on social media, is false. Hussein said his department had not received any reports regarding the discovery of a body in a house in Petaling Jaya, as claimed in the report. In Perak, a lorry driver involved in a crash that killed 9 Federal Reserve Unit or FRU personnel last week was charged in the Tilo Intan Magistrates Court on Tuesday with allegedly transporting 2 stolen cows. The accused, 45-year-old Rudy Zulkarnain Matradi, pleaded not guilty after a court interpreter read the charge before Magistrate Naidatul Atira Azman. According to the charge, Rudy allegedly transferred the animals from a farm in Hutang, Melintang. He is accused of committing the offence on the evening of April 14, 2025. The charge under the Penal Code carries a penalty of up to 7 years in prison, a fine, or both upon conviction. The court allowed Rudy bail of 3,000 ringgit with one surety and set June 16th for case mention. In Pulau Pinang, police have arrested 5 more men to assist in investigations into a slashing case in Jalan Raja Uda, Butterworth last Friday. Acting Seberang Perai Utara Police Chief Superintendent C. Tharmalingam said the 5 suspects in their 30s were arrested separately on Monday. The 5 have been remanded until Saturday to assist in the investigation. The 41-year-old victim has claimed that he was unaware why he was attacked with machetes and that he did not recognize the men. Police are working to identify the motive behind the incident, including tracking down the mastermind. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code. In Kedah, an electronic waste and lithium battery recycling factory was suspended for 2 weeks on Monday by the Department of Environment, DOE, after it was found to be carrying out illegal waste recovery activities. In the operation, 5 metric tons of used lithium batteries and 26 metric tons of electronic waste valued at 1 million ringgit were seized. State DOE Director Sharifah Zakia Said Sahab said the factory was illegally conducting scheduled waste placement and recovery activities off-site. The operator had neither obtained approval nor the required licenses from the department. The factory has repeatedly committed similar offences despite having been prosecuted in court before. Following this, the factory was immediately offered to halt operations and had all of its equipment seized. UK hits Israel with further sanctions. The details when Nightline returns.
Dia terus masuk ke rumah untuk pukul adik dia yang terbaring di atas katil.
Bergamak memukul adiknya yang lumpuh dan ibu saudaranya sehingga maut.
Dia kata ada dengar suara-suara kata buat sesuatu, bunuh, pukul ke itu lah.
Duk dengar bisikan lah. Tuhan nak balik apa? Memang odok lah kat hospital tu. Balik-balik tu dia tak makan ubat tak apa. Dia teruk lah.
Kalau kita tengok, nanti di padang mahsyar akan dipanggilnya seorang demi seorang.
Bagaimana dia dikatakan Al-Quran itu menjadi penolong syafaat kita di akhirat kelak.
Al-Quran itu akan menjadi syafaat, sudah pasti disebutkan di dalam beberapa hadis baginda Rasulullah.
Dalam kehidupan ini, jangan jadi seperti mata keranjang kerana keaiban itu akan memusnahkan diri kita sendiri suatu hari nanti.
Dia dengan anak muda yang lebih cenderung kepada teknologi terkini kan.
Pada awalnya saya nak perlukan orang yang legend yang boleh memberi kata semangatlah kepada anak-anak muda.
Kita dah ada department effect. Di mana department effect tu dia boleh generatekan effect tu dalam dunia 3D.
Ada interaction yang banyak dengan audience, so audience akan lagi seronok.
Jadi peminat-peminat Ejen Ali akan suka sebab lama juga dia orang tunggu kan.
Wanita Hari.
Ada orang kata memang dah biasa hidup berdikari. Semua benda pun nak buat sendiri.
Kadang-kadang bukan sebab nak, sebab terpaksa jadi terbiasa.
Okey, kalau dalam peti sejuk ada sotong, masak apa sedap ya?
Banyak idea macam-macam. Sambal sotong pun boleh jadi.
Macam mana kalau ibu bapa sendiri yang menimbulkan pergaduhan dalam keluarga?
Sampai anak-anak jadi mangsa, ini yang kita tak nak.
Penatnya kerja sampai tak kenal masa.
Kena jaga diri, rehat tu wajibkan pilihan.
Dalam rumah tangga, tanggungjawab itu haruslah dikongsi sama-sama.
Jangan biarkan seorang je yang terbeban. Ini bukan cerita solo.
Semuanya di WHY TV3
dan stream sekarang ditonton.
News from the foreign front. COVID-19 cases in Thailand doubled to over 33,000 from the previous week, with at least 6,000 infections reported in Bangkok alone. The country's Department of Disease Control said the cases recorded between May 11th and 17th more than doubled to 33,030 from 16,000 the previous week. Of those, 1,918 were hospitalized, while 2 were reported dead in Sukho Thai and Kanchanaburi. Bangkok reported the highest number of cases at 6,290, followed by Chonburi, Rayong, Nonthaburi and Samut Prakan. Most infections were among individuals aged 30 to 39. The United Kingdom on Tuesday slapped Israel with further sanctions and suspended trade talks with the regime in response to violence against Palestinians in Gaza. British Foreign Minister David Lammy announced in Parliament that pausing of trade deal negotiations and summoned Israel's ambassador over the expansion of military operations in Gaza. This follows Britain's earlier threats issued with Canada and France to sanction the Zionist regime if it does not end its renewed military offense in Gaza and lift aid restrictions. In a joint statement, leaders Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron and Mark Carney criticized Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's decision to allow only a few aid trucks into Gaza after nearly 3 months of blockade. Meanwhile, the Zionist regime continued their bombardments on Gaza, killing at least 73, including in a strike on displacement shelter in Gaza City. U.S. President Donald Trump said Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiating towards a ceasefire and an end to the war after a 2-hour phone call with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on Monday. Trump said conditions for peace will need to be negotiated between the two parties, while Putin stated that he was ready to work with Ukraine on a memorandum of a possible future peace agreement. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he did not have details of a memorandum, but will formulate their vision accordingly once they receive it. He also reaffirmed Kiev's desire for a full and unconditional ceasefire, which Putin did not address, and warned of stronger sanctions if Moscow is not ready. Switching to sports, badminton, the 2025 Malaysia Masters in Kuala Lumpur. National shuttlers kicked off their home campaign in style, with 5 out of 9 Malaysian representatives cruising into the second round with little trouble. In the men's doubles category, Goh Zifei and Nur Izzuddin Muhammad Ramsani needed just 31 minutes to secure a 21-16, 21-13 victory over French pair Iloa Adam and Leo Rossi. They will next face Taiwanese duo Chen Ji-rei and Lin Yu-che in a match to determine a place in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, Chung Hon-jen and Muhammad Haikal Nazri pulled off a major upset, defeating Thailand's world number 14 Dejapul Pabaranukro Kitinupong Kedren 21-15, 21-18 in 40 minutes. The duo will next take on Japan's former world champions Takuro Hoki, Yugo Kobayashi for a place in the last 8. Also advanced into the second round were Lo Hang-yi, Ng Eng Chong and Man Wei Chong, Ki Kai-woon. Hang-yi and Eng Chong secured a comfortable 21-14, 21-16 victory over Taiwan's Chiang Chien-wei, Wu Xuan-yi, while Wei Chong and Kai-woon had to battle hard before beating India's P. Krishnamurti Roy as Pratik K 21-15, 23-21. In the women's doubles, Teo Mei Sing and Goh Pei Ki ousted China's Olympic champion Chen Qing-chen, who is currently partnering Wang Ting-ge with a superb 21-19, 21-19 win. The challenge, however, is far from over for the duo, as they will next face another tough hurdle, Chen's regular partner Jia Yifan, who is currently teaming up with Zhang Shuxian. Football now, the Argentine Apertura tournament. Independiente beat host Boca Juniors 1-0 in the quarterfinals on Monday, thanks to a second-half strike by Alvaro Angulo. Boca had a goal ruled out for offside 15 minutes into the game and squandered a golden opportunity late in the first half when Carlos Palacios missed a tap-in from Miguel Merentiel's cross. Independiente then came alive in the second half, with Angulo sealing the 1-0 victory with a superb finish just after the hour mark. Julio Vaccari's side will next meet Huracan for a spot in the final. Let's take a moment to witness the deafening roar of fighter jets and the thrum of helicopters reverberating across Langkawi at Lima 25. With that, I'm Natasha. Thank you for watching and stay safe.